Hello and welcome to this discussion on Industry Spotlight with Creative First. Our guest today is Rohit Pandarkar, Partner Technology Consulting at EY India. Rohit, welcome to this discussion.
Hi, hello Loita. Glad to be here.
You worked across finance, telecom, e-commerce, and more. What parallels do you see between these sectors and the challenges or opportunities facing the media and entertainment industry today?
The thing that is common across sectors, irrespective of where you look, whether it's manufacturing, financial services, or media and entertainment, or even FMCG, is that there has been a wave of industrialization and technology adoption. And there is a certain way all industries have evolved. So if you look at the history for last 100 years, right from the invention of the printing press, then the steam engine, as well as computers, and then internet, and then mobiles, and then newer technologies like virtual reality, AI, etc. Things have gradually moved from an older way of doing things to newer way of doing things. And what's common is, if you see in the last recent 10 years, a lot of digitization has happened in all industries, including media and entertainment, like the VFX being done by computers and using a lot of software that can add things or remove things from the scenes, or even music and audio effects, etc. What is happening now is the pace of change, or the rate of change, and also the rate of change has been increasing a lot because of AI. And hitherto, whatever was being done just in a digital way, which is by using computers and software, is now being also done in a artificially assisted way, in the sense that earlier one may need a VFX software to add a few scenes, but now somebody who is not so skilled at that software can just type that add a rabbit in this scene, right? A white rabbit in the scene, and it can get added. And he doesn't have to know the skills to operate that complicated software. And also, it may not be as expensive as what that licensed software earlier would have been. So that is the commonality I see. To summarize, the AI assisted changes in workflows, requirement of lesser skills, as well as requirement of lesser money and time.
At MIT Media Lab, you explored the intersection of creativity and technology. How did that experience influence your perspective on how AI can transform storytelling and content?
I was at MIT Media Lab. We had a project sponsored by a movie production studio. And in fact, I had a fellowship funded by that production studio. And what we were doing there was exploring newer ways of things like, can you recreate certain camera angles that were never captured while movie was being shot? Like, how would this scene look from another angle, right? Rendering a 3D perfect scene, which can be used to render the scenes differently, or things like deblurring of camera images or video scenes, as well as things like, can your clothes change their colors basis the direction of light or the day of the time, and so on. While all of this was not done by me or my own research group, but overall at the Media Lab, we had interesting research happening, like, color changing apparels, or auto thermal adjustment apparels, and so on, right? Now, what is now changing because of AI is a lot of that has become so easier to do. Like, I remember reading through so many research papers that focused on deblurring of an image. And today, if you just go to one of the GenAI assistants, there are many available today to everyone as a retail free user, and say, here is an image, please help me deblur it, and create what the focused image would look like. The generative AI models of today can fairly well do that at close to zero cost. So that is something that has changed, which is something that needed so many research papers and so much of understanding of the image processing and filtering and post processing algorithms is no longer required. So it is saving the time, effort, and money to be able to achieve the same thing much faster, much easier, without a lot of skill sets to be learned, and also at way lower cost.
Deepfakes and synthetic media raise both exciting creative possibilities and serious ethical concerns. How should Indian broadcasters, studios, and platforms navigate this duality?
Topic has been debated by many, including the production houses, the actors involved, as well as the audiences, because nobody wants misinformation or disinformation, and there are many ways to curtail that. First thing is there has to be a watermark, and media industry has been using it for many years. So it's an old solution for a new problem, which is, for example, I recently saw that one of the large companies that just recently launched a synthetic video creation tool has said that all of their videos will have a synthetic creation ID embedded in that video. So those things where the tools themselves embed a watermark or an ID are important. The second thing is, you could also have tools that detect synthetic scenes or videos, because see, to err is human and to be natural is difficult actually. So if you just look at the scene of a, say, waterfall, where water is falling from the height, a synthetically generated video may not get the physics of the water falling from the top so correct and accurate. As I said, it's very difficult to mimic nature, and we oftentimes take the nature so lightly, but the nature works so hard to follow all the laws of physics and biology and chemistry. For example, just a steaming hot cup of coffee in the scene, the way the steam moves naturally versus artificially created can be different. So there are tools that can detect such errors of naturality in the scenes, and through which they can detect that this is synthetically generated. Even the errors or the noise captured by the camera pixels in a real captured scene could give away a lot of reality about the scene being captured, right? If you synthetically monitor or create a scene, the noise captured in the camera may not be exactly the same as a natural noise versus synthetically created noise. So there are ways to detect this post facto. One is pre-processing, where you add a watermark, and post facto detection. The third is also that, just creating awareness that there could be a video that comprises of an actor or an actress or certain script that may not be authentic. People being aware of this has to happen more prolifically, because if people know that, let's say, if just before a large event is about to happen, like an election or a launch of a movie, if I get to see some video which is say slightly extreme, or talking about something really important, people need to start questioning whether this forward they have received is authentic or not. So just a general double check in our minds is important. I think a few years ago that awareness was lesser among people, because people were not so aware of the deepfake phenomenon, but I think that is spreading pretty fast now. And the last part is the protection of certain rights. For example, if you have seen in the news recently, a lot of celebrities and famous actors and actresses have gone and registered their face and voice as an IP and protected it from being used without their permission. And that is something that a lot of people are doing in other countries as well as in India. And I'm sure the laws of copyright infringement are anyway applicable today. In fact, I was talking to someone and they said that the current laws pretty much do cover such copyright protection as well, because as long as it is something that you have copyrighted and needs to be protected and is not being protected, you can always find a resort to get this solved. It's just that both sides, or rather all three sides, which is the producers, the actors, and the audiences, being aware of these issues and the rights would only help the situation.
Yes, I think, you really dealt very well with personality rights, and I agree with you. The courts have supported it, and, there's definitely protection today. But I think more talk needs to happen because awareness is still growing on this subject. So thank you for that. India's multilingual landscape is vast. How can Indic language AI models transform accessibility and monetization for Indian content creators across regions?
Uh, Great benefit to the Indian media industry, because, as people say, in India, every few kilometers, the dialect and the language may change. In fact, it does change. Now, in such a situation, for long we have had a few large islands of media content, like there's English foreign, then there's English domestic, then there's Hindi, which is one of the largest, then you have South Indian cinema or content, and then you have, say, Maharashtrian or Marathi, and certain local regional movies and web series or TV serials, right? What is likely to happen is a lot of uh, lower entry barriers for content moving from one market to the other. Just like the OTT and internet media have reduced the barriers for Indians to access foreign content, and hence the cross-cultural learnings have also started happening. There is a lot of audience for Indian content outside India. Similarly, there is a lot of audience for foreign content in India, but the language barrier was stopping people from watching it. Just take an example of, say, something as classic as Friends web series or the TV series, and imagine someone from a tier 3 town in India who cannot speak English is able to watch it dubbed in his own language is now possible. Earlier, it was difficult because there was a cost of dubbing, and also the cost versus benefit analysis was difficult to make as well as conclude. But if you have a really low cost way of dubbing or even subtitling autonomously in multiple languages using LLMs, this barrier to reach the audience would go away. And what's going to naturally happen is the great content will automatically come to the top like the cream, because something that is really good will anyway be watched, and something that doesn't have a lot of substance may find it hard to gain audiences, because the scarcity of content or reach is no longer there for both the creation side as well as the consumption side, and hence it's good for the market, right? Whenever in a marketplace the barriers are removed, naturally the competitive forces enable the best of the winners to come to the top, basis quality as well as hard work. The hard work here may mean that the distribution channels working hard to quickly and expeditiously and diligently decide which languages to dub in and where would what work, use the iterative feedback on data and say that, hey, this kind of content is working out really well in this state or region. For example, imagine some Korean drama films doing really well in certain states of India and people just naturally liking it. Can you then dub further more content of that kind and provide more of that to that audience which is liking it? And that iterative feedback and learning with data and algorithms and AI will just make winning easier for those who work hard and those who have quality content, whereas it will make it difficult for people who are not leveraging these kind of techniques like data feedback and AI driven content creation in multi-language to have more audiences and hence monetize it further.
Continuing, what you said, how can then AI be used to predict cross-border appeal or localized content for new markets, especially with, the Prime Minister's vision of making India the content hub of the world?
Certainly requires an ecosystem to be created, right? When you want, as I was saying, when you want to do outside the country content to come into India and Indian content to go outside, there are digital means and distribution channels today. Nobody can stop any content from being watched and created both in certain location. But if the copyright laws are conducive to greater innovation, creation of great content, and also being protected, in addition to that, the creators taking it upon themselves to really go and launch global content. For example, imagine the aspirations that Indian cinema had long back, which made Indian cinema to reach out to multiple countries outside. Many people were surprised that there is so much of audience for a typical family drama Indian film outside India as well. But that happened, right? So that was the industriousness and aspiration and ambition of the movie makers. Similarly, now forget the movie makers, even an individual creator can aspire to have global audience and not just address a local, hyper local, say state or citywide audience, but talk to the whole world, and knowing what works and what doesn't, and have the distribution channel for that reach. If that starts happening, which is the local ambition of creators and even producers, along with good copyright protection, alongside the ecosystem catching up, right? For example, say the AI driven dubbing and the say music addition or tools for making all that happen becoming available, all of this which is happening as we speak. There are synthetic music generators, there are synthetic video generator startups that are helping these content creators to be able to quickly make something that is likable by the global audience at a really low cost with a lower effort and lower skills, as I was saying earlier, can really make any creator reach a global audience. And when that happens, one could really have India as a content hub, because I think in India we have the human resources, 140 crore people available. They may not all speak the global languages, but when language is no longer a barrier, the emotions are something that is common across the world. So if they are saying something that touches the heart of another person somewhere in some other country, in some other time zone, they would still have the ability to reach to them. And hence, if we leverage that, I remember someone saying India is money poor but time rich, because there are so many people who have time available to them to meaningfully contribute to creation of something. And I'm saying it in good jest or in good sense, because there are people who are today lacking opportunities to invest their time meaningfully into something professional or industrious. And if this gives them an opportunity to create something like creating reels or short videos from their village that has a global audience, and we have seen such examples even without the use of AI, surely because of the reach of digital social media, they are able to capture global audiences mindshare. And if that happens more often, India can indeed create so much of global content.
Rohit, what excites you most about AI's potential in the creative industries, and what should we be cautious about as adoption accelerates?
I think there's excitement on both sides, one on the creator side and the other on the consumption side. On the creator side, it is all the more easier to scan through and generate more content, but that puts more responsibilities on the creators to filter out what's the best to present to the audience, including the producers as well as the individual creators. And as they learn the newer skills, it's just the way the creators learned how to edit their audio themselves, or add dubbing using the say Dolby surround dubbing or sync surround dubbing mechanisms. So technology has always been there and we have all been learning to adopt to it, but that pace of adoption required is even faster, so that there's a thrill of running across that journey, where the required pace is so fast that it is naturally thrilling because you have to do so many things right at a time. And on the consumption side, both overall as the global audience and as a personal individual consumer of content who watches movies and say web series as well as short videos or podcasts, it's great because it's like a world of abundance is out there. Already today, if I have 30 minutes available to consume content, I have millions of options and millions of channels to consume from. I can read blogs, I can listen to podcasts, I can listen to an audiobook, I can watch a movie in theater or on OTT, on a mobile device or on a, computer screen or on a television. And it could be immersive as well very soon, where we have things like interactive content. So what excites me is also the variety that is about to come up. Imagine having a web series where you decide the climax scene, right? The series pauses and asks you, "Hey, which way do you want to go?" And I think there are already some
Yes,
experiments being done in that
yes,
way, but
yes.
that is still a flowchart based. Like there are only limited options. But with generative synthetic media, if you could literally keep talking to the plot, and the computer adjusts as per your wills and whims what happens next, you could really be in for an immersive experience where Imagine having a watch party with friends across four cities, and each of them intermediately gives a twist and turn to the story, and the movie gets created jointly by four people. So it's almost like playing a multiplayer game, but you are interacting with content, and in between create a content. And imagine after that movie is built, they actually publish that movie or sell the rights because it really turned out to be interesting. And it was created by four friends sitting in their own rooms across four cities. That kind of a future is really possible tomorrow. And not just that, on the other side, on the actors and innovators, creators, imagine a really good actor being able to star in 100 movies a year, not just five or six that he was otherwise doing, because his dates, calendar, and his human limitations of physically being present is no longer the constraint. But it would have wider implications on what happens to the number two or number three, because the number one can do 100 movies, but then of course people don't want overexposure to anyone, right? So there's always space for different people to do try out different things. So all in all, I think there is so much of thrilling future waiting ahead of us, and I just hope it lands us in the right ways by consuming and creating content in the legitimate and ethical ways, and still the essence of media industry, which is to entertain ourselves in the right ways, stays intact. And I hope that will happen.
Thank you so much, Rohit. It was a great, insightful conversation, and I'm sure our audience will appreciate all the insights and ideas you've shared today. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here on the interview.